Hey there, I want to give you some tips, 6 precisely, on how to become a more proficient writer. And most importantly, what I mean by that is how to become a concise writer. Concise writer. So, what do we mean by being a concise writer? A concise writer is a writer who is brief and straight to the point. A concise writer is somebody who is able to express complicated, complex ideas with using as few words as possible without losing the meaning of the sentence. So if you're able to really fine-tune your writing to become a concise writer, you will be a proficient writer. And so the last 5 tips have everything to do with becoming a concise writer. The first tip has nothing to do with being a concise writer. It's just a rule that you have to follow in academic writing. And all of these have to do with academic writing. So you could write any way you want in casual emails. If you write me, try to practice writing in an academic form, just for the practice of it. And it helps too, because if you're a concise writer, usually people will understand what you mean when you ask them of something. So a lot of emails I get from students are not concise, and they're vague. They're not specific, and a lot of times I have to send a couple of follow-up emails just trying to figure out, well, what does the student want? And so if I do that to you, it's not me saying, hey, write formally for the sake of writing formally in your emails. It's me wanting to make sure I really understand what it is you want, since you're not in front of me, right? So anyway, 6 tips. Here we go. First one is not about being a concise writer, but it's a rule that you have to follow. Do not use contractions. Do not use contractions. What do we mean by that? Well, these words right here. So don't, can't, shouldn't, couldn't, isn't, haven't, right? Should be written as do not, cannot, should not, could not, is not, have not, right? Notice for some reason right here, cannot is one word. I'm not an English major. I have no idea why, but it is one word. So if you write cannot out, make sure it's one word. So avoid using contractions in academic writing. Right? Easy enough to understand. Second tip, avoid using there were, right? Or there is, or there was, or whatever the case is. But get rid of there. Just get rid of there. No using there in your writing. Let's see why. And this has everything to do with being concise. So there were many problems facing the U.S. economy before the Great Depression. Oh, that's interesting. Although it was a little clumsy in its delivery. How could we eliminate a couple of words here without losing the meaning of the sentence? The U.S. economy faced many problems before the Great Depression, right? And so we have lost at least a couple of words. We definitely got rid of there and were in this sentence. And we're able to express the same meaning in clearer, more precise ways, right? And this usually, I won't talk about this too much, but this usually gets us writing in the passive voice when we use the word there, there were, and we want our voice to be active. We'll talk about that a little bit later. There was a solution to the problems of the economy before the Wall Street crash of 1929, right? That's another way of using there was a solution, right? So we want to get rid of the word there. Oops, let me clean that up a little bit so we can see it. Hold on a second. And with the magic of movies, it's fixed. Right? So before the Wall Street crash of 1929, the economy's problems could have been solved. Right? So we got rid of this there was in this. Probably clean the sentence up a little bit more, but at least we got rid of the there was in this sentence, right? 2 less words, same meaning in the sentence. Anytime you can get rid of 1, 2, or 3 words in a sentence and still convey the same meaning, you are on to something awesome, right? Proficient, concise writing is what you're on to. Do not use really, very, so, a lot, so, I got two so's in there for some reason. I don't want so's in there. So, get them out of there. Or well in your writing. Get rid of those words. Why? Because it takes up more words than is necessary. You want to be a concise writer, right? That's the whole idea. So a lot of students think history is very difficult. It doesn't have to be difficult. It's not difficult. It's actually pretty easy if you just stick with the reading schedule. Then you give yourself an opportunity to absorb the material before test time. Don't cram. And if you cram, yeah, history is difficult. But let's work with the sentence as it is. A lot of students think history is very difficult. How could we clean that up? We want to get rid of a lot. And there's another word we can get rid of if we get rid of a lot. If we replace a lot with many, then we automatically get rid of three words, a lot of, right? So many students think history is difficult. A lot cleaner sentence, right to the point, concise. The French-Indian War was really an important factor in ending salutary neglect. Really. It was really. Let's get rid of that really and see what happens. The French-Indian War was an important factor in ending salutary neglect. Right? Not too difficult. Just throw the word out. Anytime a really is an adverb, sometimes adverbs are necessary for emphasis, but usually they are not. So anytime you have a word ending in ly, that's a hint that you might be able to just throw it out and clean your sentence up automatically, make it more concise. A lot of time is wasted procrastinating. Let's see how we clean that up. Much time is wasted procrastinating. So you get the point, right? A lot of is always a good way. And what's interesting about a lot is a lot of students, many students, I should say, combine a and lot together and make it one word. It's actually two words, and it should not be used in academic writing because it uses up more words than is necessary. So again, we got rid of a, lot, and of by just using the word much. Much time is wasted procrastinating. This is very true. So don't procrastinate. Passive voice versus active voice. If you can master this, you will be a great writer, right? And it's not too hard to do. And it's immediately recognized by professors, English professors, especially English professors. History, sociology, literature, whatever the case is. If you're writing in the active voice, you will get a much higher grade. So let's look at a passive voice sentence here. The Stamp Act was implemented by the British Parliament in 1765. You'll see in a second here how the sentence is very clumsy. First of all, the subject that is going to be doing the doing in the sentence is at the end of the sentence. And so immediately the reader's got to figure out who's doing this. Something's being, the Stamp Act is being implemented, so who did it? This is where we want to write actively, an active voice. So you want to, when you're done writing your essay, your research project, your final essay for this class, look through your sentences and see if the subject doing the verb can be put at the beginning of the sentence. So it's the British Parliament that did this, right? So let's put the British Parliament right there in the front of the sentence so it's clear that who's doing this. The British Parliament implemented the Stamp Act in 1765. Period. Done. Right? We've cleaned that sentence up magnificently right there, if I do say so myself. Right, so the Stamp Act was implemented by the British Parliament in 1765. So immediately we're going to get rid of the word was, and we're going to get rid of the word by, right? And the reader is going to be very clear right from the beginning of the sentence who's doing the implementing of this Stamp Act. Right. The Civil War was won by the North in 1865. So push pause for a second and see if you can take this passively written sentence and make it an active sentence. See what you come up with. I'll wait. I'll be right here waiting. Oh, you're back. Excellent. So does your sentence look something like this? If it does, you are on to an active voice. The North won the Civil War in 1865. Right. So you see it's not that hard. You just have to see You just have to usually switch the sentences around when you have the action being kind of obscured by the subject by putting the subject at the end of the sentence. Here's what we call the politician specialty, the next sentence. Mistakes were made by people in leadership. You will see this often when political scandals happen. The politician or the spokesperson for the politician will use this commonly used phrase, mistakes were made. And it leaves the audience with a question, okay, we know mistakes were made, but by who? Who made the mistakes? We don't want to talk about that right now. It would be great if a journalist would really say, hey, why are you speaking in the passive voice? Can we use the active voice and see who actually made these mistakes? The president made mistakes. Right? Simple, right? And we could actually even clean that sentence up a lot more so by making it an active verb. So let's do that right now. Using strong verbs. This is an easy one to fix too. The French gave assistance to the Americans during the Revolutionary War. What happens in a sentence like this is that we're using a word that as a noun in this sentence that could be a verb. Can you spot it? See if you can spot it. What noun in this sentence could be used as a verb? Do 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 do. Okay, if you identified assistance, you were correct. So let's clean this sentence up right now and see what we can do. The French assisted the Americans during the Revolutionary War. Bingo. Excellent. So we got rid of the word gave and we got rid of the word to in this sentence right here by simply just saying the French assisted the Americans during the Revolutionary War. In other words, by getting rid of this verb right here and making this noun right here a verb. All right. So it's quite easy to use strong verbs through a sentence. Easy cleanup. The South made an objection to the Lincoln's presidency. It's a very clumsy sentence. It's kind of easy to see how that's a clumsy sentence, but with that said, I see sentences like this all the time in student writing. Very easy to clean this one up. See if you can do it. Push pause for a second. Excellent. Does your sentence look like this? The South objected to Lincoln's presidency. See? Easy. All right. This is my biggest pet peeve. In academic writing, you only write in the third person. You do not write in the first, and you do not write in the second. So you don't use words like I, which is first person, or you, which is second person, or we, which is also second person. Only write in the third person. If you only write in the third person, you will have no problems. And this is a really easy one to clean up. Out of all of them, I keep saying that this is an easy one to clean up. This is the easiest one to clean up, as you'll see in just a second. Right? I think Hamilton's idea for a national bank was wrong. Okay, let's clean that up. Hamilton's idea for a national bank was wrong. See? Easy to clean up. You just get rid of the word I and think, and just come in with Hamilton's idea for a national bank was wrong. Besides making this a concisely written sentence, we're also arguing a lot more effectively here. If you throw in your little identity here, well, I think Hamilton's idea for a national bank was wrong. Well, that's what you think. Right? That's your opinion. If you throw out words that convey opinion, allude to opinion out, like I think, the sentence becomes much stronger. Hamilton's idea for a national bank was wrong. Right? And so I'm not arguing with you. I'm going to argue with the facts and the evidence that needs to follow this sentence. Right? Now, I might disagree with the assertion right here at first, but maybe your evidence will convince me that indeed Hamilton was wrong. I thought he was right all this time, but your evidence helped me realize that he was indeed wrong in coming up with that idea. Using second person, real big mistake, right? As you know, slavery caused the Civil War. I don't know that at all, right? You need to convince me. In fact, a lot of people would argue with that assertion altogether. So yeah, throw the you-knows out. And simply, this is easy to clean up, right? How do you do it? Excellent. Slavery caused the Civil War. And then your evidence follows that Civil War. And so we're not arguing with you, we're not arguing with I, we're not arguing with the we. We're arguing with the assertion and the evidence only, right? So this is one you really want to clean up. The other tips that I gave you, if you do that, it definitely reveals you as not a proficient writer if you're using contractions, if you're writing in the passive voice, if you're using weak verbs, but it can slide a little bit, right? But if you write in first or second person, that's a real big red flag to somebody grading your paper. That there's probably actually more to read in this paper to pick apart, because anyone who writes in the first or second person in an academic paper is probably committing all sorts of academic crimes that need to be addressed, right? So if you write in the third person in all of your writing, people who are grading your paper like me are going to go, okay, this person knows how to write. Do follow the other tips, but this one is easy to fix, and it really demonstrates you to be a proficient writer writing in third person. Okay, just to summarize real quick, do not use contractions, avoid using there were or just there in general. Do not use really, very, so, a lot, so as well, and well. Passive voices versus active voice, you are going to write in the active voice only. Using strong verbs, and finally only write in third person. Okay, please put this into practice, and it will help you to become a more proficient writer. Email me if you have any questions about any of these tips, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.